Okay, I heard all of you that I was not audible. Okay, so let's see this one. This word file is visible to you all? Uh, Visible. Okay. Okay. This incident photon energy and all that. Okay. So, what I was uh, telling that incident photon of energy is 4.5 electron strikes on the metal with work function 3 electron. Okay. So this is one statement. Error in the position measurement of electron is 25 upon 4 pi angstroms. And what is the error in the measurement of wavelength of ejected electron? Okay. So to solve this, what you need is that you should know the photoelectric effect equation. Okay. And second, this error is not written as a negative value. Okay. In physics. Okay. So in physics, have you studied the error? So we never write the error as the negative one. Okay, we always add the error, even if it is okay. We just write plus minus one or something like that. Okay, so that is the error. Now to solve this, the first one is that we need to have the photoelectric effect equation. So photoelectric effect equation is your h nu is equal to h nu naught plus kinetic energy. Okay, h nu is the incident one, and that is your work function. Okay, this is your work function, and kinetic energy is your half mv, that we can write like that. So this is your photoelectric effect equation. So in this, the incident one is 4.5 electron volt. Okay, then work function is 3 electron volt plus kinetic energy. So what is the kinetic energy? So it will be 1.5 electron volt of kinetic energy. Okay, this one, this value 1.5. Now from kinetic energy we can find out the wavelength. Okay, lambda, what is the formula? Tell me the formula of wavelength and kinetic energy. Very good. 2 into mass into kinetic energy. Okay, so mass of the electron you know. Okay, and kinetic energy is 1.5 electron volt, converted into joule and h. So when we will do all these calculations, okay, I'm not giving you the calculation. So when we put the kinetic energy as 1.5 volt and all this calculation, so we will get this as 10 angstrom. So just writing the required one, under root 2 into mass of electron into 1.5. So mass of electron you know. So whatever is the value, so it will come as 10 angstrom. Okay, so this we have studied a lot. This we have studied a lot. Now the next section wants that we have to find the error in the measurement of the wavelength. Error in the measurement of the wavelength. So first thing, if you know the differential, okay, what is the differential of, okay, what is differential of x to the power minus 1? Yeah, minus x to the power minus 2. So that is the differential with respect to x. Okay, if you do this, you will get the differential. This is the differential. Now we want the error in the wavelength. Okay, we want the error in the wavelength. So now this momentum p is equal to, you know that lambda is equal to h upon mv, or we can write h upon p also, that is h upon. So p we can write h upon lambda, this one we can write that. Now differentiating p with respect to lambda, so we'll get dp by d lambda, because p is equal to h by lambda, so we can write d h by lambda upon d lambda. Okay, so h is a constant, so we cannot differentiate the constant, so constant comes out, so that becomes h, okay, d lambda minus 1. Okay, so because that is your lambda going up, d lambda minus 1 divided by d lambda, so that becomes, okay, so this differential is equal to lambda to the power, like this, minus lambda to the power minus. Okay, this will be the differential. This is the differential. This is the differential. Okay, why we need this differential? Because we need to find the error. So dp upon d lambda is equal to h is there, it is h, so sorry, I forgot to write the h is this, so h upon lambda square. Okay, or we can write dp is equal to h upon lambda square d lambda. Okay, so this is one, or in the general form we can write delta p is equal to h upon lambda square delta lambda. This we can write. Okay, this we can write. Now lambda we have calculated already, that is your 10 angstrom, your lambda. Okay, now delta x is given to us as 25 upon 4 pi angstrom, so that is your delta x. Okay, so now we can write delta x into delta p is equal to h upon 4 pi. Now delta x we know that is your 425 upon 4 pi, yes. So that is your 25 upon 4 pi into delta p. So delta p we can write h upon lambda square into delta lambda. H upon lambda square into delta lambda is equal to h upon 4 pi. Okay, so lambda is how much? Lambda is 10 angstrom, so we have already calculated it with this equation. So lambda is coming as 10 angstrom. So that is your 10 angstrom lambda. So that becomes 10 angstrom whole square, and then delta lambda is the error that you have to find. So we can write, so h cancels out with h, and that 4 pi cancels out with 4 pi. So we can write this equation as delta lambda is equal to, okay, 1, so that will be lambda square upon 25. Everything else will cancel out. You can see that one. Everything else will get cancelled out. So H cancels out with H, 4 pi cancels out with 4 pi. Okay, so 25 lambda square will be there. Lambda square is your 10 angstrom, so that will be 100. So that will be 100, and then it will be 25. So it is your 4 angstrom of the error. That is the this is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. Okay, so I am again so that is a long question. It came in in IIT in 1989 or 1990. Old question. That is an old question. Okay, this one. So how we calculated this? First, we have to take the this photoelectric effect equation. Okay, 4.5 is the incident one, 3 electron volt is the work function, and then it is the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy we got is 1.5 electron volt. So from that we can calculate the lambda. Lambda is equal to h upon 2m into kinetic energy. So that you can do, and after doing all the calculation you will get 10 lambda. Okay, get that? Oh, sorry, 10 angstrom. So lambda is your 10 angstrom. Now lambda is equal to h upon mv, or you can write h upon p. P is equal to h upon lambda. Okay, so dp by d lambda. So in place of p we can write h by lambda, and h we are taking out, so that becomes h. So that is our 1 upon lambda, so it becomes lambda to the power minus 1. So this differential is that there is, we have to find the error in the measurement of the wavelength. That's why we are doing. I told you na this one, because the differential is needed in at advanced level sometimes, not always. Sometimes you have to differentiate. Okay, this what I was telling. So this is the differential of this minus x to the power minus 2. So it is minus lambda h. Now we never write the error in the negative value. Negative value of error, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. So we take the mod value, or we omit out the negative sign. If we put the negative sign, the delta, okay, nothing will happen. It's like we have, because we have to multiply, nothing will happen, but that doesn't make any sense. Negative error doesn't make any sense. Here the negative sign we are omitting out. So my lambda square, lambda to the power minus 2. Okay. So dp by d lambda is h upon lambda square. Okay, so dp is h upon lambda square d lambda. So we can write in the form of error, we can write this delta p. Dp is your delta p, d lambda is your delta lambda. Okay, so delta x is this 25 upon 4 pi. Delta p, this is your delta p. So in place of delta p, I am writing h upon this whole thing, delta p. So delta p I am writing. So everything cancels out. Okay, do the math, and we have 4 angles. If you have any doubt, then you ask. I am enlarging it. Okay. Any other thing? Okay, got it. So this question you will get in the books. It's a very popular question, or they can change the values or maybe something else. You can do. But this differential is important here. What is important is the differential only. Okay, rest other things everybody can do. It is the differential that is necessary to do that. Okay, so this is the only thing that is required. Now, in the same manner, sometimes they give you, if because in advance we don't know what they will give, because they can give anything which is not heard before and all that. So in this delta E, okay, so I gave you this equation, delta E into delta T is greater than and equal to h upon 4 pi. So in this case, we can write this as dE into dt is equal to h upon 4 pi. Okay, sometimes the differential of energy is needed. Differential of energy is needed. They haven't asked the question, but we can't deny the possibility here. So differential of energy is energy. Most of the time they will ask kinetic energy. So energy is half mv square. Okay, this one half mv square. So sometimes they want you to do the differential of this half mv square with respect to velocity or something like that. Okay, if they want. So if you differentiate this with respect to velocity, okay, so everybody can differentiate. So we write half mv square t half mv square divided by dv. Okay, I am giving you the differential with the velocity. They can ask you anything, the time or something like that. Differential with respect to time, anything. So half m is constant value, so I can write half m outside. So it is dv square upon dv. So dv square upon dv is equal to what? What is the differential of x square? Dx square by dx. X only. It is x. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is 2x. So sorry. So the differential is your 2v. Okay, so we can write dE by dV. Yes, we have differentiated by this. That is equal to 2v. So dE we can write 2v dot dV. Okay, or we can write delta E is equal to 2v dot delta V. Suppose they give you this equation and they give you the time error and then ask this the question about everything. Okay. So this is a question in the books. Okay, I am not giving you each and every question, takes time, a lot of time. Okay. So this one. Yes. What is the it is why do we differentiate? Oh my god. See, it, uh, okay, in this case, suppose the question is like this. Okay, the error in the measurement of time. Okay, let's suppose take a question. The error in measurement of time is h. H is a Planck's constant. Okay, the proton is traveling with velocity of, let's say, 10 10 to the power 5 meter per second. Okay. What is the error in velocity measurement? Suppose this is a question. I just made the question. Okay. Is I have not taken from this anymore. Suppose this is a question. Then you can write. Okay. So what is our equation? Then we have to write delta E into delta T is equal to h upon 4 pi, and then we can write delta E is equal to 2v into delta v. This I think you understand very clearly. Okay, so delta E I can write 2v delta v into delta T is equal to h upon 4 pi. Okay, so velocity is just 10 to the power 5, so I am writing 2 into 10 to the power 5. Delta v I have to find out. Delta T is given as h is equal to h upon 4 pi. So in this case, so I am not going into calculation, that you can do 1 upon 4 pi into 2 into 10 to the power 5 and all that. So suppose you get something which requires the differential, then only you have to do the differential. Okay, that will come in at advanced level. Okay, Yash Patel, you don't have to do all these things. Just see that. Okay, don't apply your brain here. Every other should apply. So why we are doing the differential? Because it is the requirement that we need such a equation that gives the value of the same physical quantity and the error in measurement of same physical quantity. Sometimes this is the problem. Okay, here what? I already differentiated the energy here. dE by dV, I told the differentiation of energy to you. Suppose it is kinetic energy, half mv square. So I differentiate with respect to velocity. Okay, so what is coming as 2v? So differential of energy, so that is your kinetic energy basically. I am differentiating it with velocity. So it is giving us 2v. So I can write dE by dV, or we can write dE is equal to 2v into dV, or we can write delta E is equal to 2v into delta v. So already differentiated. Now in place of delta E, I am writing 2v into delta v. This form I am writing. Okay, this one. So this one I am using to calculate this. Okay. So differential, we have to do the differential if we have a physical quantity, okay, which is given, and the error is required. Error is required for that one. But there is no such equation that we have to solve this one. So that is why we need that. That is the problem. Okay, so we have transformed this equation into this equation simply to get our to get the answer. That's it. So see, time differential of time doesn't have any meaning. Okay, so we don't differentiate with, because with this differentiate with respect to time, that doesn't make any sense because time doesn't have any formula like kinetic energy. Similarly, here you will not see the differential with respect to position. Okay, delta x differential you will not get, because this position is position, that is a fundamental quantity. Okay, only the derived quantity like momentum, kinetic energy, potential energy, like that, they need the differential. That's it, nothing more. Okay, if the equation is required, so only delta P differential is required in this, and delta E differential is required in this. They will not ask you the differential of delta T and delta X. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense, because these are fundamental quantities. You cannot drive anything from these. So they are absolute things. So that is the point I want to make. Okay. This is the thing. Okay, you will not get this in books. The problem is that question comes, but this concept of differential is not given in the books. That's why. Even it is not given on the internet also. Okay. So have you understood that thing? Why we need a differential and all that? There are some question. I will send you question. I will find that if I will find the question from some book, then I will give it to you. Okay. So this is your differential form of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Okay, but differentiation is not that much difficult here, because in chemistry there is differentiation, but that is very easy differential. Okay, in physics also easy differential here, not difficult one. Difficult one you will see in maths only, where you don't want to see the differentiation again in your life. It is very, very complex. But okay, I don't want to scare you. You can all that much intelligent. That's fine. This thing I hope you understand. All of you understand the differential form. Okay. Then what I wanted to. Okay, yes. Let's take another question. Okay, I'm giving you the question from this interference of the wave. Okay, let's take, because tomorrow is your exam, so I will discuss few questions. Tomorrow, oh no, it's not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Friday. Today is Thursday. Thursday is today, so I have to give the paper. So let's take one question. Which is correct relation for hydrogen atom in terms of lambda and m. Lambda is the wavelength of the standing electronic wave, okay, that we draw on the circle, and n is the orbit number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm giving you 4 options, so I have to choose from. First is your 3.3 lambda is equal to n. Second is n is equal to 2.5 lambda. Third, lambda is equal to 3.3 n, and that's 4, 3. Lambda is equal to 2n. You have to solve this, and please quickly solve it. I have to teach you the shortcomings or failures of Bohr model. Today we will finish that one. So hot, yeah. Oh my God. Please see the PDF of that lambda and ion that I gave you and then solve it. Yes, Aparajita. Hmm. Yes, good. It's correct. Okay, so how to solve it? See, I told you the answer. 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. This is the equation. Okay, this equation, everybody should remember this one. Okay, this we did in so many uh, times. So 2 pi r is equal to n lambda, then we tried that one. Okay, so n is any whole number 1, 2, 3, 4, then only it will fit in the circumference. So that circumference is equal to your n lambda. Always read the PDF. 2 pi r is equal to n lambda. Now r is equal to 0.529 n square upon z angstrom. So that is another relation of r. So we'll put the acceleration 2 pi into 0.529 n square upon z is equal to n lambda. Okay. Now z is equal to 1 for hydrogen and cancels out with n. So we have 2 pi 0.529 n is equal to lambda, and that will give us 3.32 n is equal to lambda. Okay, so this is the answer. This is the answer. Good, Aparajita. Okay, so that's how you can do it. Now coming on to the failure of Bohr model. Failure of Bohr model. The Bohr model is somewhat convincing, but it has a lot of problems. First is that no derivation of MVR is equal to NH upon 2 pi. So he didn't derive it. Later on by de Broglie equation, this de Broglie equation from this 2 pi r and n lambda, and from lambda is equal to h upon mv, we derived that one. Okay, so there was no derivation. Second is the concept of stationary orbit. Concept of stationary orbit. What is stationary orbit? What? Yes. Only this, no derivation of this. No derivation of MVR is equal to NH upon 2 pi. What is stationary orbit? Stationary orbit is that electrons do not emit energy or absorb energy while it is in the orbit. That is the concept of stationary orbit. Why Bohr gave that? Because in the Rutherford model, electron while going around the nucleus, it is emitting the energy and it is falling down inside the nucleus. That is the problem. So he said that the stationary orbit is that orbit in which energy is not released or absorbed. That is a failure. Now how this, okay, this is correct, but he couldn't give the satisfactory solution to that. The concept of stationary orbit was proved by the de Broglie, because electron is not electron, there are waves, okay, stationary waves which are there on the orbit, okay, which is there. So these are the stationary waves which are there in the orbit. So now electron is in the form of wave, okay. So wave doesn't emit energy or absorb energy like that. So there is no concept of Maxwell or Faraday's concept there that it will emit the energy and all that. Okay. Faraday concept that is that when the charge is moving, it will emit the energy, electromagnetic energy. So that is not the problem with the wave. Wave is not a particle. It doesn't have any charge and all that. So the concept of stationary orbit was there, which wasn't explained by the Bohr. Okay. Third failure is the Heisenberg uncertainty problem. Uncertainty concept doesn't fit in this. Okay. Heisenberg uncertainty concept doesn't fit in the electron orbit model. Okay. In the electron orbit model, because what Heisenberg said that we cannot measure the position and the momentum simultaneously. Okay, there will be some error in the measurement. But what happens here that if we have orbit and electron is always moving in the circular orbit, okay, so its velocity is constant. Okay, electron velocity is constant. Yes, the velocity of electron is constant. Velocity of electron is constant. We can determine, so there is no error because velocity is always constant. It is not going anywhere here and there. Okay, once it is determined, then it is not going anywhere. And When the velocity is constant, so mass of the electron we know, so we can calculate the momentum. Position also we can easily determine because it is going in a circle. So this uncertainty concept doesn't fit in the electron orbit model. That's why again the Bohr model is not that much accepted. Fourth important point is it is applicable to one electron system. It is applicable to one electron system. Okay. If it is one electron system is like hydrogen and helium plus 1, lithium plus 2, okay, beryllium plus 3, like that. That is applicable to one electron system. So that is another problem. Okay. Then another thing is the problem with the emission spectra. Problem in the emission spectra. Problem with the emission spectra. Okay. So normally what happens that when electron jumps from, suppose it is jumping from 4th orbit to, let's say it is going to first electron coming here, so it will give one line spectra. Okay, one line means one type of energy. Okay, if electron it is going from 4th to third energy, then it gives one line spectra here. Okay, that we are getting. So we are getting single line, that is okay. But when atoms are placed in electric or magnetic field, okay, one line spectra splits into multiple lines. One line spectra splits into multiple lines. That is the problem. Okay. How it splits? Let's see. Suppose, okay, it is coming from, let's say, it is coming from 4 to 2. The electron is coming from 4 to 2. Okay, so it will give out some lambda wavelength. Okay, this energy wavelength it is giving out. Okay. Now on the photographic film, okay, it is suppose it is a, say it is a visible region, or it is around, this is your 500 angstrom. Okay, so this is coming here at 500 angstrom. Okay. On the photographic film, there we will see a single line of this wavelength. Now when we put it under the magnetic field, okay, magnetic field, this line spectrum, it splits into multiple spectra. So this is the one thing, then it splits into multiple spectra. Then there is splitting there, multiple ones. Okay, maybe of different colors. Okay, this one. So this is the problem. This is called as a splitting. So we put it in the magnetic field. Okay, we put the magnet here and apply the magnetic field. So this is called as your splitting. Okay, so instead of this one line, we will get multiple lines. So that is called as splitting in the magnetic field. So they ask the Bohr, suppose this has fourth has some energy and second level has some energy. So energy gap has only one type of energy that we have. Okay, that is your 2.65 electron volt. So that 2.65 electron volt should give a particular wavelength, single wavelength, because that is a single energy value. So it will give a single wavelength, but it is giving multiple wavelengths after we are putting it in the magnetic field. So what is happening here? Why it is splitting? Okay, until now we have studied that it is giving only single wavelength because that is a gap which is there. It is the gap. So if this is the gap, it has some energy values, and that energy value will give some energy, some wavelength that has single value. But we have multiple values of wavelength when we put it in the magnetic field. That is called as splitting. Okay. Yeah, for splitting it is necessary. If you don't put a magnetic field, it will give a single wavelength. Then there is no problem. There is no problem. When you put the atoms in the magnetic field, instead of giving one, they are giving multiple wavelengths. Multiple wavelengths. This splitting doesn't occur. This splitting doesn't occur if we don't have magnet. Putting the magnetic field, but no, that made the switch statement. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's disapproved it. People ask that why they are giving this multiple wavelengths. Please explain. So he couldn't. From this model, he couldn't explain. Then we are now on the quantum mechanical model, which explain this one. So we will study the quantum mechanical model, which again give this explanation of this splitting. Okay, so this is a magnetic field. Same is for the electric field also. If you pick the magnetic field or the electric field, okay, if you put the electric field also, so or electric field, we get the same splitting. Okay, same splitting we get, whether in magnetic field or electric field. So he couldn't explain this one. Now there are two scientists who discovered that is important, very important. One is your Zeeman effect. So Zeeman effect is what? Splitting in magnetic field. Splitting in magnetic field. Okay. Uh, Splitting in the magnetic field. Then is your Stark effect. Stark effect. Stark effect is your splitting in electric field. So these are the two effects. One is your Stark effect, and these are the two scientists who applied electric and magnetic field, and they annoyed Bohr. Okay, Bohr got the Nobel Prize. Okay, everybody should know that. He got the Nobel Prize for this model. Okay, Bohr got the Nobel Prize. Heisenberg also got the Nobel Prize. Okay. No, no, failures. No, no, failures were there, but the at the time when he gave the model, after 2 or 3 years, he got the Nobel Prize. So failure were there, but later on the failures were means they were proved right. They were not. We cannot call them as failures. He couldn't explain that one. So it's not totally wrong, partially correct model. Okay, it is applicable to this one, so that is correct. It is he found out the velocity, that is also correct, because that is a dual nature. Because of the dual nature, there is some problem of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Concept of stationary orbit he couldn't explain. So on the fundamental level, his model was correct, but he couldn't explain many things from that model. And people continue to ask, this Zeeman and Stark effect came means later than he got the Nobel Prize. Okay, this effect came later, in later times. Okay, after he got the Nobel Prize. So that is again the problem is there. Okay. And one more failure. Okay, I forgot. Mhm. What was this failure? Yes, that is okay. Okay, only this is required. Other are this quantum entanglement and all that. Yeah. Okay, so this is the only thing that. Okay. So Bohr model's failure. Okay, this is only that this much you have to learn. So this you learn. I will give it this in exam on Sunday exam. I will Yeah, till Stark effect. Stark effect is nothing. It's not that much difficult. Yeah, you can just. Okay, 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 yes. I will give you simple question for you. Okay, less number of numericals, more theory. For these IT people, I will give more numerical, less theory. Because I am teaching online, so my speed is slow. Because writing online is difficult on this pen tablet, difficult to write. I practiced a lot, so this is not my original writing. Means it is the original writing, but that is not on the board how I write. So that is up to Bohr model, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So here I will give you. So failure is nothing that you have already learned about. That is the thing that they are asking so many time. Yeah, uh, this is from the point of view of your exam, school exam. Failure are very important because in school exam they want a paragraph type of answer or like that. So okay, school exam will not ask you about this all these things mumbo jumbo. So they ask a simple thing. So just remember this. Okay. So this is it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Later on, it was explained by this De Broglie. No, no, this doesn't happen. That's why we are living here. We have this all the things. So concept of stationary orbit was rubbish. He just gave it to, from to escape from that previous failure of Rutherford, just to escape. He couldn't explain at that time also. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Due to the theories of E is equal to mc square and that Faraday's theory. Bohr model, yeah, it should collapse in the nucleus. But what Bohr, no, not according to Bohr model, it should collapse. If the electron is going around the nucleus, it should collapse inside the, nucleus because of emission of energy and all that. But to escape from these two theories, he introduced the concept of stationary orbit, that it will not emit the energy. So people asked, why are you saying this? He said, no, no, no. It is, yeah, it actually doesn't because it behaves like a wave, not like a particle. No, no, no. These theories are correct, but these theories are for particles, mass. Electron is behaving as a wave here. That doesn't apply because in a wave cannot emit wave. That is the concept. Because E is equal to mc square, so m should be their mass. Wave doesn't have any mass. Sound wave or particle wave is a wave, so it doesn't have any mass. So that doesn't apply. So that de Broglie equation is that one. So quantum world is very very complex. It is very complex. We cannot the problem. It is not complex, but we cannot do the experiments. They are so much small, microscopic. Not microscopic in we can't see them from anything. So we can't do experiment just like in normal course of our life. We can do experiment on everything. We can't do experiment on the subatomic particles. So we don't know the nature actually. So this is the edge of the scientific evolution. Up to here, what we will study in the quantum mechanics, it is the edge. We don't know anything beyond that, and that is also very very complex. When I will tell you the wave function, you will say, why are you teaching it? It's imaginary and this and that. Like it solves some of our problem, but it doesn't solve some of our problem. So that we are on the edge of that. But okay, that is the stopping point. Quantum mechanics is the stopping point, but we need around 100 to 100 years to understand the behavior of these particles. Okay. Have you heard about the Large Hadron Collider? So Large Hadron Collider was there to understand the mass. What is the mass? Okay, because there is no definition of mass as such. To understand why some particles have mass, why some particles like photons and mesons do not have any mass. Quarks also do not have. Quarks have mass, but some quarks do not have mass. So these are the things they were to because these quantum particles, electron, proton, muons, gravitons, hadrons and leptons, they do not behave as normal cricket ball. Okay, so that is the problem. That's why we don't understand it. This is the edge of our technology. Beyond that, we don't understand it. Yeah, that is your see nuclear reaction. There are two type of nuclear reaction. One is that is occurring in the uranium. Uranium splits into holding this much temperature is not we they have in the Russia also they once achieved this temperature. That is a nuclear fusion. Okay, two hydrogen atoms they combine and they give helium, deuterium basically. They are deuterium. Have you heard about the nuclear fusion in the sun? That is your deuterium. Deuterium has one proton and this one proton plus this one proton and one neutron. That is your deuterium. It has one proton and one neutron in the nucleus of hydrogen. Hydrogen is having one electron. This is called as deuterium. So two deuterium they combine to give helium, and it also gives out energy. That is called as fusion reaction. Now we have lot of deuterium in the sea water. Okay, lot of deuterium in the sea water. There is an energy fusion. Okay, there is a fusion reaction. It gives out the so that increases the temperature of sun and all these things. Okay. So that is the thing. If they achieve the stable nuclear fusion, nuclear fusion is not stable because its energy we cannot contain its energy. Okay, so that is the problem. So we have nuclear fission. Okay, we take uranium 238 or 235. Basically, it is 235 most of the time, and we bombard it with the neutron. The neutron goes inside it and it splits into barium and krypton plus three neutrons. And these three neutrons again go into three different, sorry, 235, three neutron plus three uranium, then they will give out nine neutrons. Okay, then these nine neutron will react with nine uranium and they will get out 27 like that. So that is a chain reaction. Same type of chain reaction occurs here. Okay, helium again fused to give energy and all that. That is a nuclear fusion, that is a fission. That is the atom bomb basically, the chain reaction. Atom bomb or nuclear reactor, whatever you want. Atom bomb is uncontrolled nuclear fission, and in nuclear reactor there is controlled fission. In Gujarat there is one nuclear reactor where it is Kakrapara, I forgot. So that is here they have achieved the temperature, the Chinese high temperature. High temperature is required, that we study in the chemical kinetics how this is achieved. That is a nuclear fusion reaction. Fusion means to join. Okay, so that is the temperature there. If they means if they succeed in doing this, it is there is no dearth of energy. Everybody will have energy and all that. No problem of energy. So this is the thing. Okay, so now I am closing the class.